Well, hello guys, so welcome to another review is read. Today we're talking about the Death Dealer from Verotik Comics and Image Comics. And so we'll go through the same process. We'll talk about what the comic's about, the pros of the book, the cons of the book, and a conclusion. So let's get right into it. Now the Death Dealer is a series of paintings actually that came from the mind of Frank Frazeta, who is a very famous painter, for especially most famous at least for his comic cover art. And he did these paintings of the Death Dealer, as you see, very beautiful ones, and basically people picked up the rights to do the comics for them. Now, if you do not know who Frank Frazetta is, this will probably change go through your memory, for he actually did this painting. Minus all this, but this picture of Conan the Barbarian is basically his work, and this is probably the most iconic version of basic Conan the Barbarian. Even the movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger, it was based, much of the images and all were based on this kind of art by Frank Frazetta. And by the way, I'll put a link to the trailer below for this DVD of his painting with fire, which I guess you can find and support if you like the art and everything from Frank Frazetta. So that's what the Death Dealer is all about. In basically, for backstory or whatever, Death Dealer, just remember, is a series of paintings. So the idea is always this guy who goes around and kills a lot of people. Alright, so let's first start with the Image Comics ones. My brother basically did not get the full series, and I'm working with the Image Comics. My brother has number 1 and 2 of the series, and the Death Dealer one, he has these 2 only, so I'm not working off the entire full series. So let's go into the pros, but my comments on all of this are basically the same. And so let's go into the pros first. The pros of the book, basically, just put it out there really short, it's the covers, minus this one, which is, no, I don't think, a Frank Frazetta art. Yep, this one's not Frank Frazetta art. It's like these, the covers from Frank Frazetta is absolutely beautiful, and that is the only pro I can give these books. Because let's go into the very long cons of the book. First things first, when you have Frank Frazetta art at the cover with this beautiful art, it reminds me of a time when, if you go pick up women and you bring your wingman and he looks better than you, it can only end for you in disaster. And same thing here. Alright, you have Frank Frazetta art usually at the start of the cover, and yet when you open the book, alright, you get art which is nowhere as good. Alright, look at it. The art is, the thing is that not all the art is bad, but compared to Frank Frazetta, everything just pales instantly. On top of that, you do get art that is bad, such as this. This girl is supposed to be in love with him, but look at her, she has a blank face basically. So that's already one thing that goes through all the books, alright, is that it never lives up to Frank Frazetta's art. The other thing is, for the Image Comics one, it basically is PG-13. So it removes a lot what Death Dealer is about. If you see a lot of the Frank Frazetta art, is very his art is hyper realistic, meaning it's less, and it's a lot of gore and nudity and everything. But this one is everything's toned down. Like we all know from movies, R-rated character like the Punisher, you put him in a PG-13 movie, just doesn't work. Same thing here. Alright, the only thing that the Image Comic ones get right is that the Death Dealer doesn't talk, compared to the Verotik ones, which I will get to. So also the storyline is really cut and paste. Like, you're talking about a character who goes around kills people, and I think they had a short run for the Image Comics ones, so the stories are really rushed. Characters are lumped together, and everything is very, very predictable. Okay, art like that is good. You can see all the art that kept turning through. Basically, there's 1 or 2 images that are good, and this one's one of them. But again, like I say, when you compare to Frank's art, just lacking. So the other one is also that you have plot holes, like like this. The Death Dealer is supposed to be a guy who basically doesn't care about anybody. He kills, in fact they put it in the first book that he kills both sides and everything, yet somehow, some reason, he doesn't kill the girl when he meets her, you know. At least like I said, I'm only working out the second book, but I'm so disillusioned when I was reading this. It was so boring and cliche that I'm putting myself out there by saying that he doesn't kill her. So that's the Image Comics one. Now the better versions are actually the Verotiks ones, which basically, these are the, and I'm going to put this as a warning, these are basically PG-18. So if you're going to be offended by a lot of gore and nudity, turn off now. So, okay, these are the better ones. Again, the problem, same thing as before. You put Frank Frazeta art at the start and you open. Now the art for this one, I got to give it, for the Verotiks ones, is a lot better than the Image Comics one, and it is gory, and it does include a lot of some nudity and everything. But the thing is, like I say, the art is inconsistent. Like, one of the things is, like, you look at the axe. The axe goes long and short, depending on the pictures. You know, when they draw it, it's totally inconsistent, and they are more gory and everything. But like I say, everything, when you look at it, just you compare to it with Frank's art, because like I say, his is hyper realistic, which is, it still looks real in a way, but when you open this, it's fantastical, and the art inconsistent. So you just keep picturing a lot of the more mistakes they make, you know, like I say, how do you think I noticed that the axe handle was getting longer and shorter? Because I was bored reading the story. The story is extremely cliche, you know, like I just been turning the page, and all you see is turn the page, death dealer reach somewhere, death dealer kill someone. Now you might argue that is a death dealer, but that a good story does not make. The Hulk basically is another one where it proves that wrong. You can do a good story with someone who just goes around and beats people up, you know. There have been good Hulk stories before. So that's basically the Verotiks ones also. And the last one, this is the one that basically started it all. My brother must have bought, I think he bought this in the Philippines when my dad was working there. And you know, for a teenage kid at the time, there was lots of gore, blood, and women. So yeah, this kind of started it all. But still, getting older now and reading it just doesn't work, you know. I mean, the story was cliche, boring, you know. There you go, the art, and several of these images do capture, but you know, as a flip comic, yeah, the art's good, but like I say, compared to Frank's art, it just is very jarring compared to his style. From what you see the cover and what you see inside. So at the end of the day, again, like you see, I got nothing to say about the story, because it's like you don't even know what's happening. Basically, they keep talking about, you did this to me, I did this to you, but there's nothing, no context at all for both. Again, I don't have the full series, but I'm so disillusioned from reading the stories that I can confidently say most of the story is probably on the way on like that. And top of that, the death dealer talks, and the way he talks is just exposition every time, you know, like, I am here to kill you. Why? Because you did this because I want revenge. Tell us what the revenge is about, you know. How can I connect with you? You don't say anything. So yeah, in conclusion, basically, the Verotiks comics, not horrible. I mean, it's bad and boring, but in terms of the art, still acceptable compared to the Image comics. But at the end of the day, everything pales compared to what you see in the covers. Storyline wise, totally missable for every comic. It's total waste of time. I have no desire to reread this ever again. So thank you very much. Till next word.